Hey guys, welcome back to Live on RealiTEA with Trisha and Kiley on the Russell Hantz Show, where we have all of the latest live feed updates from last night and yesterday on Big Brother. So, if you are wanting to stay spoiler free this season, then you will need to close out of this now, catch up with us after the episode airs, and all the spoilers are out of the way. But for everyone else who's been keeping up with us every day at 12 o'clock, welcome back. You know the drill. Hit us with the comments as we're going through the feed with your questions, hot takes, whatever. Drop us some comments. And for those of you who are watching us afterwards, be sure to subscribe to the Russell Hantz Show so that you're getting the latest and greatest on all of the feeds. Hit us with a thumbs up as well as some comments on your thoughts on the latest episode of Spilling the Reality. So, Kylie, yesterday we left off with Nicole A in pure pandemonium. What's been going on in the Big Brother house?
So the theme of the house is definitely the house is Jacer versus everybody. Um, Pretty much anything Kaser or Janelle does, the house twists it around, makes them a liar, and everybody is rallying against them, trying to get Nicole Anthony to flip on them, and literally everything that they do gets twisted around. Sweet little Janelle, which we know she's not necessarily innocent, but she is making dinner, making some tacos, Taco Tuesday for the house, and they have the cameras on the other house guests, and every single camera shows people talking about Janelle. So she's living rent free in their heads. Everything that she does, she is just manipulating them. She's lying to them. And in reality, she's not. She's
It,
just kind of hanging out.
she's just hanging out and she doesn't even she's not even thinking at this angle that everyone is against her.
Right.
Not that she doesn't have it as a game thought, but she's not thinking like everyone thinks I'm against them. No,
Yeah.
she's not thinking that at all.
Yeah, her and Kaser are just trying to rally some numbers so that they're not just completely left in the dust like they have been on their other two seasons where they've had to play from behind. They're trying so hard to rally and keep Nicole Anthony here, but the even Nicole, who should understand that they have her back, is just not. She's not believing it anymore. Everyone else is in her ear. They're telling her they're setting her up. The worst one is Kevin because he has a completely terrible read on the house and he is chirping in her ear, letting her know that Janelle is playing her for a fool, and it has Nicole Anthony completely messed up. The
She lying, y'all. And I done caught all this shit. I done put it together. They done put it together.
Yeah, we get this clip from Davon where she just knows she's got it together. Janelle's lying. Everything that's happening in the house is because of Janelle's lies. Where preseason everybody was blaming everything on Nicole Franzel's pre-gaming, inside the Big Brother house, it's flipped, and everything is Janelle's fault. Janelle's fault that the nominations are like that. It's Janelle's fault that the veto wasn't used.
But it's obviously because Nicole Franzel is a witch and she has cast a spell on all of the house guests to make them think that Janelle is the enemy. That's
Yeah,
obviously what happened.
it's a mess. So we talked about it yesterday, and Nicole Anthony has come up with the idea that the best thing for her game is to put Janelle and Kaser on blast.
On a made up blast because it's all in her head what she plans to say. She's going to go. So she's been going around the house all day yesterday, talking, having these individual conversations. Should I call a house meeting? And every single person is like, hell yeah, let's have a house meeting. You go, girl. You tell them, hey, but don't do it. Don't do it right after our conversation. I don't want them to think, that I started this.
Yeah,
That's every single conversation.
I'm not the one that's, behind this.
Yeah,
And some of the people are starting to realize, oh, well, is there anything that I've done that whenever she's trying to put Janelle and Kaser on blast, it's going to end up coming back on me? And the reality of it is, yes, that is what's going to happen because Janelle and Kaser aren't lying. Everything they've told you is true. So when you put them on blast, you're only going to be revealing everybody else's secrets. And so I am hashtag team good feed. So let's do it. Let's blow the house up. I'm ready for some drama. I'm ready to see some breakdowns and some fights. So come on, Nicole Anthony, let's do it. Your game's already tanked anyways, girl.
Do it. Yeah, she's gonna blow the house up. We do think this is really gonna happen. So we expect this to happen today. She's gonna blow the house up because she's had all the conversations yesterday, sprinkling around. Everyone's encouraging this disaster. And it's all built on fake information.
Yeah.
Information that she's just conjured up in her head.
Yeah, that everybody has conjured up in their head. But the thing is it might be successful because they're all going to believe it because they all think that Janelle and Case are lying and that they're these big schemers and everything that's happening in the house is because of them. But the fact of the matter is everything that's happening in the house is because they all have 95 alliances and they're all backstabbing each other. So
Mm.
someone suggests, well, maybe you can have the house meeting and you can have Nicole's funeral. So kind of like Dan's funeral, but this one will be Nicole's funeral 2.0, but Nicole's got a different name in mind. She's decided she's going to call her house meeting Nicole's Truth and Janelle's Lies.
I love this name because she doesn't want. I love that she doesn't want to have the funeral because she doesn't want to go, which Dan didn't go either. But I also love that she's going to accuse Janelle of lying.
Hmm.
I can't wait to see how this mulls over.
Yeah. Um, in other news, we do have other house guests in the house
What?
that are doing some crazy things too, and one of which is Ian is really being clued in on the other alliances that Nicole Franzel's in. We know that Ian sees Nicole Franzel as his number one, especially that they're the only two winners in the house. They do have a good connection. Um, and Kaser is laying it out for Ian because Kaser and Janelle are campaigning hardcore for Nicole Anthony. So Kaser has a really long conversation with Ian about how he's really the swing vote. And Nicole Franzel has these other alliances set up, and Kaser tells him point blank, Ian, I would never make an alliance without Janelle. So if Nicole Franzel is your number one and she has all of these other things going on, why? Like, you're not her number one. Why can't you see that? And so I think Ian's kind of starting to see the light of day here. And he tells Kaser that he's just going to spend the day today going over numbers and is really open to the possibility of working with Kaser.
Well, I know we talked about this yesterday, the Kian alliance,
Yeah.
and that's I, I agree. Like Kaser is really pleading a great case here with saying, you know, that is so true. Like we all know, especially as feeders, even the people in the house that are seeing Janelle and Kaser know that they are together. But what is a bigger target? Knowing that they are together or some of Nicole doing this to protect herself and Ian. What do you think is a better game move?
Right. I mean, everybody knows that Janelle and Kaser are together, so it's definitely sneakier whenever your alliance member has other alliances that you don't know about. It would be one thing if she was communicating with Ian and letting him know,
True.
"Hey, I'm going to work this side, you work this side, but we're number ones." But that's not what Nicole does. She has her separate game from Ian that she doesn't clue him in on. So I'm really hoping that Ian can see this and that he needs to go with Janelle and Kaser's side of the house. And Kaser lays it out for him that he is the swing vote. And it really comes down to that. We know that Bailey and Davon are a little bit on the fence. We've seen Davon wavering from her statement of she will absolutely not vote David out. But Kaser lets Ian know, like, if we've got the numbers, Bailey and Davon are going to come with us. And Memphis will break the tie. They're not going to have enough numbers to straight out save Nicole Anthony, but they're just going for the tie.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see how this plays out for Kaser. And tomorrow I'm interested. I want us to talk about. I can't wait to talk about what Ian's decision is.
Yeah, hopefully we get an idea of it. He did ask Kaser, if I decide to not vote with you to save Nicole Anthony, is the door open for us to work together next week? And Kaser, being a smart game player, says, absolutely. That's not the kind of person I am. If you were not together this week, we can definitely see if we can get on the same page for next week.
Yeah, Kaser needed to say that because it's just him and Janelle. So
Yeah,
smart
they
game.
they they need all the people that they can get in any type of circumstances they can get them. Another interesting conversation we see is between Christmas and Nicole Franzel, where they are tossing around the idea of maybe we keep Nicole Anthony and what the advantage is to keeping her as their alliance as a whole, and how they need to decide together today or tomorrow even what they're going to do. But Christmas comes up with the idea of maybe we can have a quid pro quo. So if we keep you, you agree to not use the safety suite. What do
Which
you
is
think about this as a
freaking
proposition?
stupid. So stupid. Okay. A few things ran through my head as I was watching this on the feeds. One, Nicole, just say yes. Just agree to it and just say, "Okay, I'll play your game."
Yeah,
No matter what. Just
absolutely. I won't use my safety suite.
sure. But then actually do it.
Yes, swipe your
Or
card, boo.
yeah. Or say, "I'll top you that." How about I will play in the safety suite next week, and if I win, I keep one of you safe.
Yeah, and we know that Nicole Franzel's name is the one that's being thrown out. And I would just really proposition to Nicole Franzel of, hey, you know that if Janelle wins HOH, you're going up on the block. So keep me. I have my safety suite pass. You do too. So you can play and I can play and I will save you. So you've got two chances basically. And that is the card that Nicole Anthony has to play if she's going to sway these votes in her favor.
But she's not playing it at all yet.
No, she's freaking out. Completely meltdown,
Just
toddler temper tantrum level. It's
so
not good.
speaking of Nicole F and Janelle winning HOH, we had some shots fired on the feeds yesterday.
Boo, 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 boo. Yeah, so Nicole talks about the strategy behind them choosing the have nots. We know that they said that this year the have nots coming off will choose the next set of have nots. So Nicole Franzel is talking about the strategy of putting Janelle as a have not and then putting her with some people that aren't going to necessarily be swayed by her.
Right.
So they've already discounted Bailey and Davon. Well, Nicole Franzel has as to not being on their side. So she's like, let's name Janelle, Bailey, Davon, and get Enzo to volunteer because we know that he's not going to be swayed by Janelle. And then that way we've got Janelle at a disadvantage. She's on slop. She's not eating. She's not sleeping as comfortably. And none of the people in the room with her are going to be influenced by her. So I think if Nicole Franzel takes this shot and she's the first one that goes from talking about the other one to actually doing something, that the opposite of what she wants is probably going to happen, and she's going to light a fire under Janelle's ass. Janelle's going to be so pissed, and
That's
I'm
going to
here for it.
happen. That is going to happen, which great entertainment.
Yes, please do
Or
it.
if what Nicole F says she wants to happen actually happens, this is proof to the theory that she's actually a witch. So,
Yeah, so I'm here for it. I think it's a great move by Nicole Franzel. Like, it's known. Everybody in the house knows y'all don't like each other, so just go on and do it. Put her on slop. Make the move. That's what I would do.
Do it.
Do it. We do. So one of our questions over here is, did you see Nicole go crazy on Kaser and Janelle last night? And that's something we are going to hit on a little bit more in a minute. Yes, we did see that. And Janelle gets so upset when she finds out that Nicole has doubted their friendship and everything that she's doing to keep her in the house. She tells Bailey, she is being perfectly honest with her and says, if Nicole Anthony leaves, I may leave too. Like, I'm going to self evict. I just cannot even believe that she would even throw those words out there. What do you think about it?
Yeah, if Janelle leaves, do we even have a season? Like, it's gonna be so boring. I mean, at this rate,
Yeah.
I don't even know what drama could exist. Like, let's just hand Nicole F the crown because her main focus right now is getting Janelle out.
Yeah.
So if she doesn't have that to distract her, to be honest, she's gonna just slither her way back to the top, in my opinion.
Do
So,
you think there's any actual chance that Janelle really self evicts and leaves the house?
the only thing is the Janelle we have now is mom Janelle.
Yeah.
And we're both moms, and it would be so hard to leave your kids. And she talks about how badly she misses her kids. But I mean, that core Janelle is still in there.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't think so. Again,
Yeah.
you know,
I don't think there's any way.
production talks these people off a ledge, kind of will even give them what they want so they don't self-evict. They need a show, and if everyone's self-evicting, so they kind of play into it too. So I don't think we'll see her
Yeah, no, I
self-evict.
think she has way too much respect for the game. She loves this game, and there's no way she's going to. But still, even hearing her talk about it and contemplate it a little bit is kind of mind blowing. So, to be determined, do we see a self eviction? My answer is no, I don't think so.
I don't think we're going to see one from Janelle or Nicole A. So
Yeah, no,
neither of them are self-evicting. Nicole A at this point is actually going to be evicted, but
most
so
likely.
she doesn't need to self-evict.
Yeah, she's only got another 24 hours basically to stick it out. I do feel bad for her. She's definitely has some traumas from last season that she has not worked through, and this game is just effing with her mind. She's completely lost confidence in herself. And so I do feel bad for her on a human level, but on a game level, as much as I liked Nicole Anthony, she needs to go because she's a hot ass mess. So she can just go ahead and leave.
Bye.
Bye.
So that brings us to our next topic of Cody making big plans for whenever he becomes HOH.
Yeah, so Cody talks
Again,
about he plans to win this next HOH. So he plans on having the HOH week 1 and week 3. And he's got a great idea. Who in the world could he want to nominate?
bum bum
Wow.
bum.
Shocker. Janelle and
Again.
Kaser. So he missed his shot the first time, but he's decided that this is what he's going to do if he wins HOH again, which is great and fine. I mean, you're working with the majority of the rest of the house anyway, so those are basically the only people that make sense for you to nominate. But whereas most of the house is pushing for Janelle to leave, Cody's got the idea that he's going to nominate Janelle and Kaser, and instead of evicting Janelle, he wants to have Kaser evicted. And once Kaser's evicted and we're left with a pissed off Janelle that we've seen this story. It's happened before. And the last time she was on a season and Kaser was evicted, she won HOH, and we get the infamous "Give me that key, bitch." So that is the kind of level that she's going to turn it up to if Kaser's evicted. And Cody already has it planned out that when this happens, he's going to throw Danny under the bus, which I think is a really great strategy.
Yeah. Um, I'm I don't know how well it's gonna mull over though, but considering everyone in the house, including Janelle and Kaser, know that They were his original targets on day one.
Mhm.
So try to do that. Okay. But I
Yeah.
honestly think Janelle is grown enough and mature enough to be like, Danny, WTF. Like,
Yeah.
what? You know,
But
I don't
yeah,
know how well
Cody
that part will go over, but okay.
Cody's got his plan though that he's going to blame this whole thing on Danny and get the house to turn on Danny, which I don't think is a terrible idea because Danny is definitely playing the type of game right now where she doesn't want to show her cards. The guys that she's in an alliance with are talking about how they think she's throwing the competitions because Danny is known for being a really fierce competitor, and at this point, she hasn't been competitive in anything yet. So they think that she's probably throwing them. So it is an interesting idea. I think it's probably smart on Danny's part if that's what she's doing because she does need to keep that target off herself. You know, somehow Janelle and Danny came in with similar legacies of being
It's all those
really
comp
strong.
wins,
Yeah, of strong comp players,
great
going
social
far in their seasons,
games.
great social games, being Big Brother legends, but Danny is in a completely different position in the house than Janelle. So whatever Danny's doing is working, but Cody might try to foil that.
Do you think it's because, Janelle's in this house with Kaser? Do you think if, Danny had a previous alliance member that she worked with, she would have the same target? Or
Right. I
is it
mean,
solely because of the game she's playing? Because I don't think Janelle had that opportunity. I mean, Janelle hasn't
sure.
won anything yet, and she isn't really playing a really big game. She just has this target on her back from the jump.
Yeah. It is interesting. I feel like they probably did plan to have more duos in the house. We've talked about how Josh and Casey should have been in there. And, then you've got, okay, Tyler's getting to play this under the radar game a little bit. But if Casey would have been in there, would that have been a bigger target and a more recent target to think of? Okay, sure. We've got Janelle and Kaser, but they played together 15 years ago. Here's Casey and Tyler. They played together 2 years ago. So
Right.
I think if there were one of those other big duos, that would have helped them, but they don't have that and they don't have the luxury of knowing what it would have been like to play with another duo. So
Yeah.
Danny is in a good position in that she doesn't really have anybody tying her down from a previous season. So
Yeah. I mean,
she's
she's definitely
working it.
playing the best game that she can play.
Yeah, she's working it to her advantage. I don't necessarily like the game she's playing. I wanted her to go with the OGs, but
I mean,
unfortunately, she's not worried about what we want to watch. She's worried about trying to make 500 keys. So keep doing you.
keep doing you, Danny. All right. So, who is doing normally we would say who's doing a good job at campaigning, who's campaigning the best this week, but as we've seen on the feeds over the past week since David and Nicole have been nominated, it's pretty much just like who is campaigning the worst.
They're both really, really terrible. They're terrible at campaigning. We do have this clip of Nicole from her meltdown yesterday with Janelle and Kaser that we were referring to.
Who's done? Who's done? Well, you guys can go however the fuck you want to. You want me here, you want me here, you don't, you don't. Could really give two fucks, like, to be honest, at this point. Good night.
She could really
This
give
is
two F's about it.
this is where she's at. She does not care anymore. I'm sure she's going to wake up today with a different attitude, but this was her final moments of the night last night. She legitimately went to bed. Janelle and Kaser stayed up trying to sway votes in her favor while she slept. Like, what are you doing? The people that are nominated are in bed. So they're both really, really terrible at campaigning. They're not convincing people why they would be a good person to keep. And especially Nicole, because she does have that bargaining chip of the safety suite pass. So it's bad, folks.
And what's
David,
David went to sleep too?
yeah, David went to sleep. David doesn't know what he's doing at all. Kaser has a conversation with him like, hey, is there do you see a way where we can work together? Almost like Kaser's the one that needs to get David's vote and not the opposite. So Kaser's throwing it out there, like, let's work together. And David is like, yeah, I don't know. I'm like, what are you doing? Anytime anybody approaches you with something, be like Tyler. That should be the new saying. Be like Tyler, say yes, have deals, deals, deals. But especially if you're on the block. If you're on the block and you've got somebody approaching you,
Deals, 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 deals. Here we go.
yes, you want to work with them. There is a path forward for y'all to work together. Your interests can align because you need the votes. And so it has been a really, really rough week of feeds to watch because these two are very frustrating.
Neither of them seem to know what they're doing. They don't
They
know
don't
how
know
to
what
be on the
they're
block.
doing.
I mean, David really doesn't know how to be on the block.
Right. David is playing Big Brother for the very first time, and he's playing it with legends. And Nicole Anthony just has no self confidence, and she's completely damaged from last season, which is completely understandable, but she's tanking her own game.
And that's that. That's all. They just suck at campaigning, y'all. They just suck at
They kind of
campaigning.
suck at the game of Big Brother, to be honest.
And that's the tea. So today we expect there to be more shit show of campaigning, if any at all. We'll see. We really expect the Nicole Anthony house meeting to happen today. So that is probably the most exciting thing that we will get out of the feeds today and look to report to you guys on tomorrow. But there are some
Hopefully,
swing votes. I mean,
yeah.
so right now, and just to recap on the votes really quick for everyone that's just now tuning in, and to give everyone a visual, 4 people that are for sure voting for Nicole Anthony are Cody, Enzo, Tyler, and Nicole F. So those are locked in. They're not going to change to David.
Yeah.
Janelle and Kaser are definitely going to vote for David. So that's 2 votes for David, 4 votes for Nicole. And then we have Christmas Bay Day and Ian that we would say are undecided at this point.
Yeah. So they're kind of the swing votes. Christmas has talked a lot about going both ways. Her and Kaser have a pretty good connection. Kaser has talked with her a lot about voting with them. So I think Christmas is still a little bit undecided, but ultimately I think she's going to vote with the rest of that large alliance that she's a part of. But she may be an independent thinker, who knows? So a little bit Christmas is on the fence. Bailey, I think, probably leans a little bit more towards keeping Nicole Anthony, but I think she's going to go with the numbers. So a lot of this is going to come down to what Ian decides and if Davon is able to vote out David.
Yeah.
And
I think Bailey will do whatever Davon does.
yeah, I don't see any way that Nicole Anthony gets 7 votes to stay and can outright not be evicted, but there is a small chance that she can get enough for it to go to Memphis for the tiebreaker.
And Memphis
So we'll
does
see.
not want that. He doesn't want that. He does not even want the votes to be split. He wants it to either be 12-0 or he wants it to be 10-2, but he does not want it to go to a tiebreaker, and he does not want the house to be split. So I think that will, if the house is split, it's going to show not only where a lot of people lie, but it's going to show like who could be with Janelle and Kaser and who,
Yeah.
could not be. So
And
it's like,
hopefully, if it does go to that and Memphis decides to actually speak to his alliance members and let them know his thoughts, hopefully he'll see that his alliance members are not really backing him. So it can be very telling what
yeah,
happens with the vote.
yeah. And another, like the conversations, like we talked about Cody, but and his plans for next week, but it seems right now that the cards aren't falling as much as the pot was stirred this week by Memphis and feelings hurt. He doesn't seem to be a target by the house at this point.
Right. I mean, I think he's probably a backup option, but they've got their 2 bright, shining targets in Janelle and Kaser, and they're kind of public enemy number 1 and 2.
And if Janelle and Kaser win HOH, who goes on the block?
Probably Nicole F and Cody, I would imagine.
Yeah, they're going to take shots at that
Yeah, they're
alliance
going to
for
try
sure.
to take out the bigger names from that other alliance for sure.
We have a comment here from Bill. Who do you think will be the most affected by the House meeting?
Nicole Anthony, she's going to get herself in a complete tizzy. I don't know. I mean, I don't think that everybody already hates Janelle and Kaser. So what is she going to accomplish with the House meeting? She's not going to make people change their opinion. Their opinion's already made. I
The
just think
only
it's going to
opinion
be
she's going to
entertaining.
change is Janelle's.
Right. Janelle may be the most affected in that Nicole Anthony now has 1 less vote. And Kaser's too, so 2 less votes. So
Yeah.
I think that it's a bad idea for Nicole Anthony, but I'm hopeful that she does it because I want the entertainment. So it's always more fun to watch when something good's happening.
In the track record of House meetings, which we do normally get to see on the show.
Yeah.
So I'm also excited for something crazy to happen on the show. In the track record of House meetings, it normally doesn't go so good.
Right. It's not going to change anybody's opinion. So
No.
we'll see. We'll see what
Most
happens.
most affected would be Nicole Anthony directly. Indirectly
Yeah.
would be Janelle in a kind of sorry, not sorry, not voting for
Yeah.
you.
Screw you.
So that brings us to our tweet of the day.
Tweet, tweet.
And it comes from our friend, Survivor legend, Kelly Whitworth.
Yeah, Kelly's bringing it on Twitter, letting us all know Janelle could literally burn my house down and she would still be invited to my wedding. Same. For real.
We
Like,
all feel this, Kelly.
Nicole is being a crazy person, talking about she needs to have Victor retract their invitation. But Janelle, if I wasn't already married and you're interested in attending, I will have another wedding ceremony so that you can come.
Yeah, definitely at my second marriage that I plan to have. Janelle, you're invited.
Yes.
So,
What
uh,
is Nicole thinking?
I don't know, but I'm looking forward to the fallout of all of this post show. Like I need CBS. There needs to be a TV show. Like if y'all weren't already producing Nicole F's wedding, hey, opportunity.
Right.
Please, please, please. Also, I want to see Janelle show up. Like,
Yes, and kind of like how The Bachelor's like, okay, well, we're done, but hey, we know that The Bachelor's going to change his mind, so let's send some camera crews out here. So that's what we need. Big Brother All Stars wraps up, and we just continue to follow Nicole Franzel and Janelle as Nicole gets ready for her wedding. Maybe she decides to take back the invitation, and Janelle just shows up anyways.
please, like
Because she
this.
is that bitch.
This is the 2020 version of the Heidi and Spencer wedding when Kristen Cavallari shows up. We are here for this, CBS. Give us all of the tea.
Yes, for sure.
All right, so that brings us to the end of our show today. Thanks everyone who joined us live and was dropping some great comments and commentary as we move through the broadcast. For everyone who is joining us, again, watching this afterwards, weren't able to join us on your lunch break, or maybe you're in a different time zone, please drop us with a comment of your thoughts on everything going on the feeds. Hit us with a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe to the Russell Hantz Show. We also want to take a moment to remind everybody that on tonight, after the Big Brother episode airs, Central Standard Time and Eastern Time, we will be on Instagram Live with Kat Dunn from last season. So follow Kat, follow us. You'll get a notification once we are live with Kat, our Instagram and Twitter is at RealiTEA, RealiTEA_TRHS. So check us out on Instagram for a live interview with Kat Dunn following the Big Brother episode tonight. And that wraps it up for the tea today. And we will see everyone tomorrow at 12 o'clock Central Standard Time. Cheers, Kiley, and bye,
Bye.
everyone.